So have you just started to run but are experiencing pain in the front part of your shin? You may have something called shin splints. And today I'm going to be discussing about what to do when you get shin splints and how to stop it coming back in the future. Hello, it's Andy from the Movement Project. So what is shin splints? Shin splints is defined as pain along the inner part of the tibia, so this is your shin bone. Normally it's brought on by doing a little bit too much too fast, so if you're a runner and you haven't ran for a long time and then suddenly you go out running every day and keep on increasing your distance, it doesn't give the body time to adapt and accommodate for that change in stress that's being put upon it. So the connective tissue surrounding, well, the connective tissue and the muscle surrounding that shin bone gets inflamed and then gets very painful. It's a really common condition. It accounts for around about 13 to 17% of all running related injuries. Just a small note that say if you kept running through this pain, it may then develop into something called a tibial stress fracture. So it's always really important, like with everything, use your common sense. If you're getting pain somewhere, just stop what you're doing. So if you're a runner, stop running. Either get the problem looked at by your osteopath or your GP just to make sure everything's okay, or give the body time to adapt, rest, and then try again. So go get a pen and paper, or I guess people don't really use pen and paper anymore. Or Google Keep, or just note this down, make a list, and then follow the step-by-step instructions to help you recover from shin splints and prevent shin splints from occurring in the future. The first thing that you'll want to do when you develop this shin pain is to rest. Now this doesn't always mean that you don't have to do anything. You can do other things like swimming, cycling, just things that obviously aren't going to aggravate your shin splints. Second, it's really important to ice. So you can ice the front of the shins. You do this for about 10-15 minutes. Just remember to wrap the ice pack up into a towel just so you don't get any sort of freezer burn, but this is really important in the first initial step. Then the next thing you can do is start to gently stretch. Now there's a few different variations of the stretch. I'll briefly just go over these, but there are a lot of other videos online that you can see how to sort of stretch your lower leg out. But the first one is a simple calf stretch. So what you do for this, you lean up against a wall and then you keep your feet nice and planted and then you lean forward. You'll feel a nice sort of stretch along the back of the calf. After you've done this, you can then bend that knee slightly and then once again lean forward. And what this does, it just stretches a slightly deeper muscle, it's called your soleus, into your calf. And just some studies have shown that this muscle can be very stiff in people suffering with shin splints. So that's why I've added this one on. And lastly, just a stretch that I personally really like and I give to a lot of my patients who are suffering with shin splints is known as like a deep squat stretch. So this is one where you squat down as low as you can go and then you lean a little bit over to one side. You maybe hold that for about 20-30 seconds and then you do the same on the opposite side. Also why I like this stretch is that it gives you an indicator of your overall mobility. So if you can't get all the way down, it may be a sign that your hips are stiff. Maybe giving us an indication of why you've developed shin splints, because there may be other sort of reasons if you've got stiffness in your back, in your hips, or in your lower leg, that's why you're developing shin splints. So the next thing what I would suggest is go see someone about your shin splints. I mean, if it's a very mild pain, then just give it a couple of days rest and see how it feels. But if it is continuing, just to make sure it isn't the other thing that I mentioned before, so the fracture that you can get along the shin bone, it's very unlikely that this is the case, but it's always worth getting someone else to look at it. Also, they can look at other areas of your body that I just mentioned and see if you've got any other restrictions, giving you advice on how to stretch, also how to stretch properly, and potential sort of strengthening exercises. So once again, you can prevent the shin splints from getting worse. So what I'm going to talk about now is preventing your shin splints. So the first thing what you can do is put a arch support in your shoe. Now some studies have shown this to be effective, although just personally, even though I do recommend this in some cases, I think it can be a sign that there's other problems. So it may be just a weakness in your foot, or like you said, the calf is too tight, which is then causing the foot to flatten, causing then other issues, or then can lead to less cushioning, which then can lead to shin splints. So once again, advice, just get your lower limb looked at before you start putting things in the bottom of your shoe. But once again, this can be helpful. So the next thing you can do, which I mentioned a little bit before, was just slowly increase your activity level. So before you start running, even if you've used to be a really good runner, but if you haven't ran in 6 months, don't just think, well, I'll go and start trying to run, even half as much as what I used to do before. Just start off with a fraction, go out for a 5-10 minute jog. Once again, like I said, see how you feel, give it a day or two rest, so allow the body just to accommodate, and then go a little bit further. So this is the most important thing that you want to consider if you want to try to prevent your shin splints from occurring in the first place. So the next thing you will want to do is to try increase your cadence level. So what this effectively means is your step rate. So you're aiming between sort of 80 to 90 steps per minute on each side. So you can get these little stepometers, which can be really useful for this. And this is just another great way to help prevent shin splints. So the next thing that you'll want to do is get a strength training program. So this is doing a high amount of weight with low repetitions. A lot of my runners will sort of say, yes, I do weights, but they'll be talking about doing, say, like a circuit class where they're doing 20, 25, even more reps per exercise. Now this can still be useful, but if we're looking at preventing injuries, then strength training is shown to be more effective in that. Also, you can do something like plyometrics. So this is where you'll do a movement, say like a squat, and you'll add in a jump aspect, and this improves explosive power, once again been linked to reducing running related injuries. So I hope you found that video useful. If you do have any other questions, please put them in the comments section below. Once again, please remember to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Thanks very much for watching.